Hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about a very, very good episode of NXT from December the 12th, 2020. So we started the show with a typical WWF Scrum promo. I hate the Scrum promo, where these staggered entrances, like this is, to me, frustrating. Like we got these guys who all could be good contenders. And, the Finn is in the ring. He's mad because Finn is always upset now. He's always angry. Like, the time for team sports is over. You want to know me? Come see me. And then Pete Dunne comes out, and I'm like, yes. Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor. Badass. Then Kyle O'Reilly comes down. I'm like, interesting. Balor got some unfinished business with Kyle O'Reilly. Then Damian Priest comes out, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I'm all down for that, man. We've been trying to get Damian Priest out of that mid-card muck and mire for months now. It's finally going to happen. So these three guys, they start to argue amongst each other about what happened at War Games, whether they won, whether they lost. Damian Priest can't beat Leon Ruff, and Kyle O'Reilly beat the hell out of himself, and he disappears for 6 months, and Pete Dunne actually lost, and all this type of stuff. And as they are talking amongst themselves and cutting jokes, Finn just walks the fuck off. He has no interest in who he's fighting. And he says, whoever's going to get the rub, that's Regal's job. And as he gets to the top of the ramp, here comes Scarlett. And Scarlett doesn't say anything. Scarlett doesn't do anything. She just kind of circles Finn Balor a little bit, kind of telling him, like, yeah, we back. We present. And I was like, yes. Cross is back officially in some official capacity. And then Finn Balor, being, fearless, is like, tell your boy when he's ready, I'm ready. And she looked like, ugh, like, how dare you talk to me that way? But that was great. That was the best thing about this whole mess is that we set up the contenders. We could have set up some type of tournament. You got, 3 weeks, 4 weeks before the New Year's Evil, you could have had a tournament or something like that for the number one contender spot. Would have been great. Would have been fantastic. Would have been fun. And I don't know, we still haven't broken into how we're going to break this thing down yet. So it still could be a tournament. Who knows? But I like the list of contenders we brought out here. I also like how throughout the night they eliminated one of them. So they went to commercial. They came back. Pete Dunne is out and is in the back. He gets mauled by Killian Dain. I was like, hell yeah. Because I completely forgot about him with Killian Dain. I completely forgot about him. So Killian Dain came back. He's angry at Dunne because Dunne tried to end his career. And he's trying to tear Dunne apart. And I'm like, okay, we're starting off good here. Our first match was Jake Atlas versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. They're doing a thing where I guess Isaiah Swerve Scott's about to turn heel. Very weird because he's not really an established babyface. Even though he kind of is. He wrestled Santos Escobar, but that was really his only feud. They have been criminally underutilizing Shane Strickland, a.k.a. Isaiah Swerve Scott. He has been criminally underutilized in NXT. He's been stuck in the Cruiserweight division. Look, there's nothing wrong with the Cruiserweight division, But when the number one contender can't even get a spot on the show, he can barely get mentioned. Like, Kurt Stallion is an invisible man to everybody. Unless you watch 205 Live or seen him in Evolve. You don't know who this guy is. So when they say, oh, Kurt Stallion is the number one contender for the Cruiserweight title, most people are like, who? How did that happen? Because they didn't watch the show. They don't know. The guy doesn't fucking come out of there. He doesn't cut a promo. They don't show a vignette. They don't do anything for the guy. So they don't really establish that Isaiah Swerve Scott is a babyface. Now they're about to try to turn him heel. But the match with Jake Atlas was fine. It was fairly short. They did some good athleticism stuff. Atlas won with a clean counter. Scott was winning the match until he lost. So he kind of had it in the bag, and then he lost. So now he's getting kind of frustrated. Jake Atlas wanted to shake hands. Scott was like, nah, we're not shaking hands. And he walked off. So I was like, okay, that's all right. That's not too bad. Then we get a triple threat tag team match, which I don't think we needed. I don't think this was necessary. This was just a car crash. It's just people everywhere. Grizzled Young Veterans versus Everrise versus Imperium. And Grizzled Young Veterans won with the ticket to Mayhem on Everrise. And I was just kind of like, did we really need this match? Sure, they built up the heat between these three teams, but you could have done something else, like literally anything else. You know, like I don't think we ever need to have a triple threat tag team match. That's just like a regular tag team triple threat match. Like, just, I didn't like that. But I do like Grizzled Young Veterans. I have no problem with them. I have no problem with Imperium. I fucking hate Everrise. But I'll deal with them, you know, for the 80s style, cocaine filled promos that they cut. I'll be cool with that. But this match it was action packed. There was a lot of people flying all over the place, which is, I guess, good enough for tag team matches. Which pretty much that's what tag team wrestling is now. It's just guys jumping, guys flying all over the place, guys doing tag team moves. Very, very little regard to the rules. In some cases, there are no rules at all. So it was that kind of ordeal. And Grizzled Young Veterans winning was a good thing. I like that they have this. I don't know if they're supposed to be heels. I'm guessing that they are the heels, because all three of these teams are heel teams, which made it so. It also made it so weird. Like, Grizzled Young Veterans are a heel team. Everrise is a heel team. Imperium is a heel team. Like, these are three heel teams fighting. That's stupid. Okay, like, that's real dumb. But whatever. It is what it is. They showed a vignette about War Games, about the injuries from War Games. NXT really has this thing about people getting hurt. Every takeover now, it seems like people are getting hurt. They're going a little too hard, I think. Candice LeRae broke her arm. Johnny Gargano busted his lip open. There were some other injuries. I think Dakota Kai maybe even got hurt. So there's some, unless that was storyline. But there was, some people legitimately getting banged up. Like TakeOver 31, where O'Reilly and Balor decided to beat each other almost into a coma. It was a little much. It was a little much. Might want to turn it down a little bit. I think NXT, especially with there being no crowd. With there being no crowd to take that in, you don't really need to do that much. Now, I'm not saying your shit needs to look like Jon Moxley's, where you're barely making contact. You're doing everything you can possible to not make contact. Or you're throwing RVD bullshit punches. But you don't need to go. You don't need to go that hard. So we get a backstage promo from our cherry-lipped Paul goddess, Toni Storm, who says that Ember Moon was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but Ember Moon did steal her thunder because she re-debuted on the same day that Toni Storm re-debuted. So she kind of felt like Ember Moon trying to upstage her. But she said she doesn't really care. She just wants to be the champion. And now Io Shirai appears out of nowhere, says, okay, now that the War Games and stuff is over, all I care about is the title. And I don't have no heat with you. I just don't like you. And then Io Shirai just hauls off, who is like 4'6" or something like that, hauls off and punches the cherry-lipped Paul goddess in the face. Like, why would you do such a thing? Why would you do such a thing? Okay, you don't need to do stuff like that. Not to Toni Storm. You can punch somebody else. Go punch somebody else in the face. Go punch some unattractive woman in the face. So anyway, they got into a fight and they fought outside and they fought into the ring. Then Ember Moon came out there and helped Io Shirai get the upper hand and beat up Toni Storm, which is fine. Then we get a pretty good match. Tommaso Ciampa versus Cameron Grimes. This match was set up through a promo where Tommaso Ciampa basically says that Cameron Grimes is loud, ignorant, and brash, and he's unsure of, Cameron Grimes is confident or insecure. That sometimes insecurity can appear as confidence. And tonight we're going to find out whether he's really, but he basically just finds Cameron Grimes to be a little too much. And he wants him to stop being too much. But these two had a good match. Tommaso Ciampa is Tommaso Ciampa. He don't miss. He has good matches. He don't miss. I don't think Tommaso Ciampa has had a bad match in NXT. He's had matches that I didn't like as much as others. But I don't really understand him having a bad match. Not in NXT. Tommaso Ciampa's been on fire since he started in NXT. Cameron Grimes is a good worker. I have everything bad to say about this character, about how they portray the character, about the attitude, the tone of voice, the look, everything. I have nothing but hate in my heart for how they present Cameron Grimes. But the actual wrestler, he is okay. He's not bad. So they worked their asses off in this match, man. I really enjoyed it. And Timothy Thatcher came down to the ring, similar to how, Tommaso Ciampa came to the ring and got in the way. Just kind of sat there and watched him before he did the same thing. And then Tyler Rust, who was apparently the student of Timothy Thatcher, ran to the ring, trying to distract Tommaso Ciampa. It didn't work. Ciampa still won with Willow's Bell. And Thatcher and Ciampa are not done with each other. I'm hoping they go to the fight pit because I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for the new fight pit. I'm sitting here on bended knee, like, please give me Ciampa Thatcher fight pit for New Year's Evil. That will be that'd be lit, as the kids say. Anyway, Ciampa and Thatcher jaw at each other a little bit. And then, Ciampa's like, your boy did yada, yada, yada. Thatcher like, I don't have anything to do with him. He does everything on his own. And then Cameron Grimes comes out there breathing all heavy. Cameron Grimes, you don't get down here and talk through the WWE and all that shit. And for somehow, Timothy Thatcher grabbed him by the leg and twisted his ankle. And I'm thinking like, okay, all right. So I guess we get in Timothy Thatcher versus Cameron Grimes soon. I think, and somebody, I just happened to see it on Twitter. I very rarely look at Twitter. I didn't look at it, but I get notifications and I have to see what this stuff is sometimes. And somebody tweeted out that Cameron Grimes needs to get out of NXT. And he's been down there about a year, I believe. He was in the top prospect tournament, the tournament that ACH won. I believe that was a televised tournament when they was on TV. So he's only been on TV like a year. I think Bronson Reed was also in that tournament, and I forget who else was in it. But it was like a 4-person tournament. ACH won, and then he chimped out and ended up quitting. But I don't think that Cameron Grimes has gotten he's annoying as fuck, but he hadn't really got a run yet. Like, his character is he just wins random matches, and then he gets into feuds, and then he ends the feud, and then he keeps going on to win random matches, and then he gets into a feud, he ends a feud. He hasn't really been pushed as a top guy or as a solid mid-card guy yet. He's just kind of floating. And I think that, as annoying as the character is, I don't know what you do with him on Raw or SmackDown other than comedy. And that's just going to, oh my God, could you imagine Vince McMahon booking Cameron Grimes? Holy shit, man. Holy shit. I'm talking shit on a stick, shit on an ice cream cone. That would be some of the most annoying, bad TV possible. They need to tell him to turn that character down. He needs to turn it down. That character fucking sucks. But this match was good. Tommaso Ciampa versus Cameron Grimes was very good. Definitely two workhorses that was getting it in. So Raquel Gonzalez is very proud of herself for winning the match at War Games and says that she pinned the champion. But tonight she has to deal with Ember Moon because Ember Moon hurt her friend Dakota Kai. So she's going to destroy Ember Moon and teach her a lesson. And then we get one of my favorite things. Like, this is my favorite shit on Wednesdays. The Xia Li and Boa vignette. Where Xia Li is with the Ip Man karate boxing thing. I don't even know what it's called. But it's like the martial arts thing where you got the arms and you hitting it with your fist. And you're kicking it and all that type of stuff. And it's just like the guys, And Boa is getting beat with kendo sticks. They're both bleeding. Like, Xia Li's knuckles are bleeding from how hard she's hitting this thing. She's sweating and crying. And Boa is bleeding. And he's being abused. He's getting beat on his back. He's getting beat in his chest. He's getting punched in the face. And the master is just basically telling them to keep going. Hit him harder. Hit harder. keep going, never stop. And they just going on and on. It's just so brutal and gritty. Yet it's also cinematic. It seems so real. Like you don't know if you're supposed to feel sympathy for them, or do you see them almost in, and I hate to put it like this, and like they're training like in Dragon Ball, like they're in a training regimen that is so vicious that they have to come out of this thing and just basically go undefeated for 10 years. Like, I have never seen people train like this before. Like, they're mentally broken. And you can see, like, they're growing calluses as they go on. Like, because you see, like, this is what made it cinematic. You seen the drama of, Xia Li crying. And then the master is telling her to keep going. And you see her fist balls up. And her face kind of scrunches and the tears stop. And she's like, you're powering through. You're going forward. It's not going to stop until you get it right. And then you see the same thing with Boa. He's getting beat on his back. And they're saying, hit him harder. And then you see Boa getting punched in the face. And he goes from selling it to just now, clenching his jaw. He's getting serious now. He's getting angry. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh, man, I cannot wait for the next thing. I think that they're probably going to re-debut them on New Year's Evil. That would be awesome. But I really think that unless they're going to dominate NXT all of 2021, this is for nothing. They need to dominate Xia Li and Boa. They need to just destroy NXT for the next year. Because this stuff is good. And it's going under the radar because a lot of people are talking about Sting and Shaq and all the other bullshit going on the other channel. But this is good shit. This is high quality stuff that they're doing here. They're doing dungeon shit. Okay, like this is next level. This is like they're mentally destroying these two people just to rebuild them later. I am 100% on board with this. And these are short vignettes. They're only a few seconds. 2 or 3 minutes at the most. I love them. They're my favorite shits on Wednesdays, man. They're very good. So then we get this extra long promo between Johnny Gargano, Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, and Austin Theory. I do not care about this at all. Anyway, they called Austin Theory and Indy Hartwell the futures of NXT, and they called themselves the way. Dominating is the way. Winning championships is the way. Winning different things is the way. There were some stupid Austin Theory jokes in there. I guess they're going to turn him into a dumb jock, where he's just going to say stupid things and do stupid things. Johnny Gargano said he had a surprise for Candice LeRae. To make her feel better because she broke her arm in War Games. And it ended up being a doll with green hair, the head of it on top of a trophy, which he says is Shotzi Blackheart's head on a silver platter or something like that. It was really fucking morbid. It was really fucking creepy. It reminds me of that scene from Napoleon Dynamite where Pedro makes the piñata out of the girl who was running for class president against him. And then he's like, what we doing in Mexico all the time? And I was just kind of like, this is some weird voodoo shit. Like, we're going to put a doll with green hair and put its head on a trophy. That's some of the creepiest shit in the world. Anyway, the match was set up that it was going to be Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory versus Leon Ruff and Damian Priest. Not on this show, but on the December 16th episode of NXT. So Damian Priest comes out and he says, congratulations to Candice LeRae for winning, and congratulations for Johnny Gargano for finding a way to win. And then he says to Austin Theory, I hope you still got that pipe. I'm about to shove it up your ass. And he comes marching to the ring to shove pipe up Austin Theory's ass. I shouldn't have said that. Pause. And no homo. Anyway, as he's marching to the ring, Karrion Kross comes out of nowhere and beats his ass. I love that. That was fantastic because I had completely forgotten he was supposed to be there. And he power bombs him off the stage onto, it wasn't that far. I think it was on the other side of the ramp. And Then he just, after powerbombing 6'6", Damian Priest just destroyed him. He calmly walks the fuck out and got into his sports car and drove off. Because Damian Priest talked shit to him earlier. And I forgot to say that because Damian Priest said to Scarlett, if your boy, wanted to start a fight, tell him, he knows where to find me. And Cross did come and find him. Put his hands on that man. And that was G shit, man. Dude was talking shit on your name. You just showed up and powerbombed him off the stage. Look, man, you the fucking GOAT for that. Shit. Why not? Why not? There's no reason why you shouldn't. Even look, I don't know how are we going to shake out this whole thing, man. How are we going to define this number one contender? But if New Year's Evil is going to be Damian Priest versus Karrion Kross, I'm all in. I'm all in. Shit, I'm all the way in, dog. I'm in that bitch deep. You feel me? So, that was great. I love the Karrion Kross thing. So Taylor Rust, who was the student of Timothy Thatcher, he was holding his neck selling, and the reporter, whatever, lady, asked him, "Oh, are you in league with Timothy Thatcher?" And we clearly saw him in league with Timothy Thatcher. He was literally wearing a Thatch Can shirt last week. We can see. Stop asking people stupid questions, lady. Either way, it doesn't matter anyway. Because the black manager, who was the manager of Indus Sher, who apparently was taken off TV for, spoiling the Great American Bash, they have not been back since. Since one of those idiots spoiled a Great American Bash, they haven't been back since. And that was 6 months ago. But Malcolm is now back. So I think that's his name. Is his name Malcolm? I think he goes by Malcolm Velli on Twitter. I don't know what the hell his name is, if we're being honest. But apparently this Tyler Rust is going to be Malcolm Velli's new client. So guy got a storyline right off the rip. So that ought to be, let's see how that works out. Then we get one of my favorite matches. Pete Dunne versus Killian Dain was bad fucking ass. Now, if you've been listening to my NXT reviews, especially the ones during the summer when they first started, the early part of the fall, when they first started doing this tag team thing with him and Drake Maverick, I expressed my frustration because I said Killian Dain could be a Bam Bam Bigelow, a Vader style heel who could go out there, destroy shit, break shit, bust shit up. He's a big dude, man. Big, hairy, ugly motherfucker. The kind of guy who could have got a run with Hogan. Kind of guy who could have, gotten a run with the Divine Erics or something like that. He got that look to him. And we finally start presenting him properly here. He was kicking Pete Dunne's ass. He was kicking Pete Dunne's ass. He's bigger than Pete Dunne. He's beating Pete Dunne's ass. So I've been really calling for Killian Dain to get a second look. And I'm finally very, very happy that he actually got it. So Dain was dominating, obviously, until he made the fatal mistake of trying to headbutt him or something like that while he was outside the ring. And he hit the ring post. That gives Dunne the opportunity to, try to get the advantage. Dunne is very technical. He is a true technical savage. He takes limbs and twists limbs and stuff like that. So that gives him a sort of way of nullifying the size of a bigger opponent. He can grab your fingers and bend them back or bend your elbows or something like that. You tend to go where your limbs go because you don't want them to break. So that's really good. And Pete Dunne also works a very physical style. And Dain is a big dude who works a physical style. So they really was just in there getting it on, man. And I really dug it. It was a cool spot where there was a fisherman buster from the top rope. That should have been the finish. I'm not a fan of you just breaking out fisherman busters from perfect plexus from the top rope. And it's not the 3 count. That's just, I didn't need that. But everything else in this match was pretty good, man. Killian Dain was really handing Dunne his ass to the point where Lorcan and Burch ran down there to distract him. And just as they came out, Drake Maverick came out there with a chair. He's swinging this chair, and they're running around. And then they beat him up. They run. He thinks he run them off. He turns around to tell Killian Dain, "I got him. I run him off." Then they come back and they beat him up. And then Killian Dain leaves the ring to save his friend, helps him fight off Lorcan and Birch, of course, because it's wrestling. WWE's wrestling especially. It was a distraction finish. Killian Dain gets back into the ring, gets hit with the bitter end, and gets pinned. Still a very good match, though. And it seems like we're going to get Killian Dain and Drake Maverick versus Lorcan and Birch. And instead of Lorcan and Birch versus Undisputed Era, which is what I thought they were going to do. And they still might. It could be a 6-man triple threat thing, because you also got the Grizzly Young Veterans there. So you have a lot of options. But there's still a lot of meat on the bone. Like, this was a very meaty match. It had some good time to it too, like a good 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes. But there's still a lot of meat on the bone because Dain and Maverick got destroyed by Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne, and Lorcan and Birch. So they have not gotten their revenge yet. Their revenge is going to come in the form of probably winning the tag team titles, which would be great for them. And it'd be a good look for Killian Dain, who, I'm sorry, he's a pet project of mine. Like, I don't think he can cut a promo. I don't think I've ever heard him talk outside of shortened sentences, but he doesn't have to. Like I said, he'd be a Vader, a Bam Bam Bigelow, a show up and wreck shit kind of guy, a monster truck. That's kind of how I call it. Like, in wrestling, man, there are race cars, then there are monster trucks. I want race cars to race. I want Ricochet to go out there and do what Ricochet does. No, I'm not a fan of people doing high spots all over the place, but if that's your style, man, just go ahead and do it. And make sure you do it safely. Make sure you do it in a way that makes sense. And it's not just, the flying Walendas and Cirque du Soleil bullshit, Just please. And if you're going to be a monster truck, man, don't be out there and be a gas guzzling, barely getting over, big fuck like some of the guys and Impact, who are just like fat as hell for no reason. They don't have the gas tank to be able to go out there and tear shit up. They also don't have the intensity. They don't have the look. They're just fat. Like, don't be that. Be porky and trying to do wrestling stuff. If you're going to be a big dude in the business, man, get out there and get it. Hit hard. Be hit hard. Do that. And Killian Dain seems to have no problem with that. So the next thing we get is Leon Ruff is dejected because Damian Priest was supposed to be his partner next week, but Damian Priest just got powerbombed. So it's probably not gonna happen. So Johnny Gargano strolls over and laughs in Leon Ruff's face, saying, "Hey, you don't have a partner because Damian Priest just got carried out of this building. He's not going to be able to wrestle next week. So it's you by yourself against me and Austin Theory." And then we get Kushida, which I'm like, oh, Kushida versus Johnny Gargano. Oh, I'm all about that. I'm about that too. So Leon Ruff is excited that Kushida volunteered to be his partner. And Kushida was very, he's new Kushida, so he's a little bit more intense. And Leon Ruff is being a goof. He wants to fist bump and all that type of stuff. But, he did fist bump him, so he wasn't being too much of a stick in the mud. So Kushida could possibly be the next opponent for Johnny Gargano. I love that idea. It's been long past time to put Kushida in a title picture. He really should be wrestling for the NXT title. Kushida is one of those dudes. I know, I said it before. You have your eating shit stage in WWE, where all you do is lose and made to look stupid, and then they say, "Oh, we're going to make some changes," and then all of a sudden you get a push. We're going to make some changes, and then they change your music. Then they make you change your pants or something like that. Then all of a sudden you're a brand new guy. But I'm glad Kushida is finally getting the look. I'm a big fan of Kushida as well. This felt like a reboot episode of NXT. It felt like, okay, we've done everything that we can do. Now we have to start new stories. And it finally felt like everything they were starting was good shit. Including some good shit that came out of the main event. So the main event of the show was the only women's match on the show. Raquel Gonzalez defeated Ember Moon clean as a whistle. Well, was it clean? Let me look at it. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was clean. Yeah, it was clean. So Raquel Gonzalez, Ember Moon works a very lucha heavy style, which is, a lot of head scissors and stuff like that. And they told the story early that she really couldn't get Raquel Gonzalez to move on that stuff. So, basically Raquel Gonzalez has basic offense. Very basic giant offense. Big boots, slams, strength counters. If somebody tries to take you over the Hurricane or something like that, you don't go. When somebody strikes you, you stumble, don't bump. It's typical stuff you see with giants. And you see it if you watch enough, especially giants in WWE. Because in other places, they don't know how to book giants. They take bumps for midgets and stuff like that. In WWE, they'll teach you. If you're the giant, you stagger. You don't go down. You stagger. Undertaker used to say that. Like, you stagger, you hit the ropes. You grab the ropes to stay up or something like that. Where you selling, but you're not going down all the time. And that's basically what they taught Raquel Gonzalez. And that's basically how she works. She gets hit with like a kick to the head. She'll stagger, reaching for the ropes or something like that. And that makes sense. That's how she's supposed to do it. Stay up, stay strong. And so some really good spots in this match too. Raquel Gonzalez had some there was a suplex where it looked like Ember Moon was hooked up, like she was going to get suplexed from the second rope, but she kind of bounced over and then suplexed Raquel. That's pretty cool. Outside the ring, after a tope suicida or a suicide dive, Raquel Gonzalez was splayed out on the announce table. Ember Moon started climbing one of these pillars that would just like happen to be there, of course. Then Raquel reached up, grabbed her by the leg, pulled her off, and caught her. And then lawn darted her into the ring post. That should have been the finish, if we're being honest. That should have been the finish. But obviously, for some reason we can't do simple things. Raquel Gonzalez actually stuffed the Eclipse. She tried to do the Eclipse, and Raquel Gonzalez just caught her in the air. That was like such a badass thing. So then, after Raquel got countered into a roll up, she ended up hitting, I think, Ember Moon with a lariat or something like that, and then hit her with her powerbomb finish and won the match. Just plain won. And I was like, yes, okay, not bad. They're actually putting some effort into building Raquel Gonzalez as the next competitor. Because, again, when I first started seeing Ember Moon and Toni Storm, I was like, okay, it's a race to see which one of these two is going to be the one to take the belt off Io Shirai. And over the time, they basically just diverted both of them off away from the title through other means. So Raquel Gonzalez won clean. And then Toni Storm came down there because she was going to pick the bones and beat up on Ember Moon for helping Io Shirai beat her up earlier. And then Rhea Ripley came out there and did the heroic thing. She grabbed Ember Moon by the ankle and pulled her out of the ring. And then once Ember Moon was safe, Rhea Ripley decided she's going to get into the ring and take care of this Toni Storm problem. Toni Storm was a little scared. She kind of backed up, doing what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to be a heel. I forgot to add the appendage. Our cherry-lipped paw goddess, Toni Storm, backed away. It was kind of like, okay, I don't want no part of this. And then Raquel Gonzalez kind of moved her to the side. Was like, I'll handle this. And she stared down Rhea Ripley again, like, okay, you beat me the first time, but this is a real thing now. Like, they got some real tension between them. This is like match 4 between these two. Well, is it match 4? I believe they had like a tag team match or something. But Raquel ended up backing down again because she's supposed to. She's the heel. But I got the feeling that, you know, Raquel's going to win the next time. Like when the next match is going to be. Is it going to be New Year's Evil? I don't know. I would probably do it the week after, you know, because New Year's Evil needs to be they've already said that the NXT Championship is going to be defended at New Year's Evil, which means Finn Balor is already wrestling. I hope and pray that the opening match or something like that is going to be the Fight Pit with Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. That would be bad fucking ass, man. Okay, you don't have no idea how excited I am at the thought of that, if that could be the case. But you don't really you need a big women's match, so I guess you could do Raquel and Rhea then. But I'm good with this New Year's Evil show, depending on how they book it, because they still have some stuff to fill out, like who's going to be the number one contender, how we're going to get there. Obviously, it's not going to be Damian Priest because he got taken out. Probably also won't be Killer Cross or Karrion Kross. He probably won't be there either. So they're probably going to do a Pete Dunne versus Kyle O'Reilly. I'm interested in that. You know, as a one-on-one match, I'm very interested in that. Or they may do something else. Who knows? But I'm interested in everything that they're doing. You know, everything in NXT is interesting. The tag team division is still a mess. It is. The cruiserweight division is an afterthought. But there's a lot of potential in both. You know, there's far more potential in the cruiserweight division because you're actually doing something with Jake Atlas now. You're doing something with Isaiah Swerve Scott now. You know, you need to get the number one contender for the cruiserweight title on the goddamn show eventually. Hell, you might want to book the champion or do a vignette for the champion too, by the way, by the by. But other than that, NXT is very good. You know, it's better. It was better this week than it has been in previous weeks. And it hasn't been all that bad. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, take the $1 challenge. Thank you guys for spending your time with me, and I'll talk to you guys later.